Hey, True Texan. Hey, Andy. Make sure my sound is okay. It sounds good. How are y'all? It might be interesting. Maybe. I guess. We're going to find out, right? We are going to find out if it's interesting or not. There have been so many things being said. Just so many. And I didn't want to just, jump in and start spouting stuff off in anger and aggravation. So I kind of just waited and waited and waited. But here we are. I am good, sir. I hope you are as well. So, a lot of people have been affected. I mean, I guess that's the best word to use. Affected by Charlie's death. Many haven't been at all. And even many don't even know who he is. So I did know who he is, not in the way that Bullhorn Betty knew him. Betty's met him and all of that. For those who don't know, I am a Christian. I am right-leaning. I used to be a liberal. And practice all the things. Read the tarot, did a little bit of witchcraft now and again, that kind of silly stuff. But, people change in their lives, and I did. And, did I listen to every one of Charlie's debates? No, but I did listen to a lot of them. And while I can't say I agreed with everything that he had to say, I did find common ground in some of the things that he had to say. So one of the things that has come up since he passed is Martin Luther King Jr. And that was a sensitive one for me because, we all learned about MLK as kids, right? Or, yeah, as kids. Most of us learned about him as kids. And, MLK is seen as a hero, a good man, somebody who you aspire to look at and admire. And while I don't think my opinion has fully changed on that, some things have changed. So one of the big things is, what did Charlie Kirk say? I've heard people say, he said MLK was awful and, civil rights was terrible and this is bad. So I put some stuff together just for people to look at. And we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes okay. I'm going to mute. Well, we'll see, Carrie, huh? Let's see. You won't have to pause to read. I'm going to read for you. All right. It starts down here. November 25th, 2014. Nonviolence leads to redemption in the creation of a beloved community, MLK. So he's quoting MLK. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others, MLK? MLK was a hero. MLK would be disgusted with Ferguson protests and violent demonstrations. We need more MLK and less Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. So those were tweets from 2014, 2015. Okay. This is 2018. Harvard will host its first ever Black-only graduation ceremony. This is racist and a disgrace to all racial progress made over the last 60 years. MLK would be disgusted at this. By the way, if you are a Black person that goes to Harvard, you are the furthest thing from oppressed. That was May 21st, 2018. 2019. Joe Biden has a history of praising segregationists. In 1988, he called John Stennis, who opposed the Civil Rights Act and fought against MLK Day as a holiday, a man of character and courage. Does Joe Biden still find it courageous to stand up against African Americans? Okay. "2019, Joe Biden last Friday. I want to be clear, I'm not going nuts. Biden in the last 2 weeks confuses New Hampshire with Vermont. Poor kids. This is just, I don't know. This was something about Joe Biden being confused. But I picked anything where he spoke about MLK in tweets or whatever. That's what I was gathering here. Okay. January 21st, 2020. Sick. Watch these Antifa rioters try and shut down Black Trump supporters on MLK Day. Turns out there was a white supremacist rally today, but it wasn't in Virginia. It was in Seattle. Retweet to expose the real domestic terrorists in America." Now, this is just to give everybody context here. That's what this is for. January 27, 2020. How did a Minnesota college commemorate MLK's legacy? By hosting a seminar entitled How to Embrace Your Inner Racist, a session for white people. It was designed to help white people recognize the nasty little racist inside of them. How is this not racist? Concordia, Minnesota. May 30th, 2020. Facts. Ilhan Omar's campaign manager called for less MLK-style protests, meaning violence. She supported the violent, bloody Baltimore riots. Now Omar is supporting the illegal protest in Minneapolis. Democrats are trying to tear America apart. Retweet to expose them. Okay. January 17th, 2022. MLK would be disgusted with the state of racial equity in America. Don't use the legacy of a civil rights icon to peddle racism disguised as race theory. January 16th, 2023. Millions of people today will tell us to preserve the legacy of MLK and then demand white people be judged by the color of their skin. January 16th, 2023. San Francisco's official reparations committee is celebrating MLK Day by releasing a proposal that would create a racial caste system for the next 3 centuries in that city. Now, here's where we begin to see a change. Okay? And hey, everybody. This here is where we begin to see somewhat of a change in Charlie's views on MLK. As you can see, I've just read all of these where he feels like, MLK's words are great, etc., etc. Okay. Let me look here. No, I want to see Charlie's mouth saying these things. I don't want to hear you read anything. Well, first I'm going to read his tweets that he tweeted from his own page. Then I'm going to show you Charlie's exact words in full context. Him saying them, nobody else. So he writes, LOL, the media is writing a hit piece attacking me because I'm going to expose MLK on Monday as a false god of race-obsessed, I can never say this word, modernity. Modernity. Whatever, you can read. It's going to be a great show. So this is prior to him writing it, but he had spoken. He had said he was going to do this. Okay. Who was MLK? A myth has been created and it has grown totally out of control. While he was alive, most people disliked him. Yet today he is the most honored, worshipped, and even deified person of the 20th century. Today we're going to tell the truth and explain how this myth was born. Happy Monday. This is January 15th of 2024. We're about to get into it now, okay? I was just going to put this out as a video, but I figured
the question is, should it be a federal holiday? Should it be one of the largest statues, monuments in Washington, D.C.? These are legit questions. And is it the myth, the legend, the fable, or is it the reality? And what purpose does it serve? Has it made America a better country?
But it's not playing for you guys, right? You can't hear it. Oh, when I mute, can you hear it? Hold on. Wait a minute.
We want all people to have a better quality of life. And Marxism is not the pathway, and race Marxism certainly is not the path from the quality of life. America, legit questions. The question is, should it be a federal holiday? Should it be one of the largest statues, monuments in Washington, D.C.? These are legit questions. And is it the myth, the legend, the fable, or is it the reality? And what purpose does it serve? Has it made America a better country? We want all people to have a better quality of life. And Marxism is not the pathway, and race Marxism certainly is not the pathway. Critical race theory. What is critical race theory? Well, critical race theory is an outgrowth of critical theory. It's a way of viewing the world. Basically, many of you know what economic Marxism is. Okay, in the 1960s, Herbert Marcuse from the Frankfurt School in Germany came to America, and he looked around and he said, boy, our Marxist movement is not doing too well. It's not doing great because the American middle class is actually successfully integrating into a private property-based market system, and Marxism is kind of fizzling out. So then he conjectured, what if we come up with a new type of Marxism, not economic Marxism, but race Marxism? He said the real struggle is not rich versus poor, it's not the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat, it's white versus people of color. Now it is about systemic oppression, white privilege, and doing whatever is necessary to try to fix those problems, including Ibram X. Kendi, who says that we need discrimination today to fix the discrimination of yesterday, and I'll prove exactly what he means by that. So with critical race theory, it's not just bad ideology, it's not just, here's the best way I can describe CRT to you, with all that philosophical stuff aside. It's calling everything you don't like racist until you control it. That's what CRT is. Just keep calling it racist until you control it. The banking system is racist. The colleges are racist until all of a sudden you're in control of it, and it really is a major power grab. Okay, so if you asked a leftist about race in America, they would say the worst thing you could possibly be is a straight white man. Right? They'd say that it's the problem with the entire society, the structure, the bones of society comes down to the issues of straight white men. A liberal would say, look, there's systemic racism, but maybe we make some moderate improvements around the edges, and we don't do anything too dramatic, but they would admit with the premise that America is systemically racist. A conservative would say, hold on a second. Discrimination is wrong. I couldn't care less about the color of your skin. It means nothing to me. I care about your character, I care about your actions, I care about your values, and I want to live in a country where people are not talking about race. In fact, I'm very, very worried we're heading into a country where we are retribalizing ourselves, and we should not put up with this kind of discrimination.
When we get into something like critical race theory, you'll hear varying perspectives. For example, Charlie's story is that CRT is Marxism repackaged. Marxism said history was a struggle between workers and capitalists. But in America, that struggle fizzled out because the middle class was thriving. Herbert Marcuse, a German thinker who fled to the US, saw the problem and said, if class doesn't divide America, maybe race can. From there, Kirk argues radicals built a new version of Marxism that swapped out class for race, instead of workers versus capitalists. It became oppressors versus the oppressed based on skin color, and he calls that race Marxism. But we also have the scholars. Critical race theory didn't start in Germany. It started in American law schools in the 70s. Civil rights laws had already been passed, segregation was outlawed, but in practice, inequality was still everywhere. Schools, housing, policing, courts. So scholars like Derek Bell Kimberly Crenshaw asked why the law wasn't delivering equality, and they developed CRT to explain how racism could be baked into systems even without explicit racist laws. They'll admit critical legal studies, the movement of that CRT grew out of, was influenced by critical theory, but to them, CRT wasn't a secret Marxist plot. It was a response to America's failures. And at the end of it all, who's right? Both stories are pointing to the same roots, but from different angles. Kirk is focusing on the intellectual seed, critical theory. Scholars are focusing on the lived reality of racial inequality. So it's the same tree, but described in two very different ways. And that's why this debate can feel so polarizing. One side is saying CRT is an ideology imported from Marxism, but the other is saying it's homegrown and it's a legal tool for really understanding American racism. And Charlie was still debating about those things to this very day. So it's a lot deeper than just a sound clip. There's tons and tons of information out there and his own words on it and why he believes where it came from.
Everett Ellison. By the way, the audience is loving this, Vince. You're doing great. I want to play I'm going to read a quote here from MLK.
Okay. So again, I was just going to put this out as a video, but I wanted to talk with you guys. One of the things I need to say, I saw what True Texan wrote. Yes, he was not old enough to be there back then. Okay? He's talking about today. He's talking about how it went from then to now, right? If MLK's dream was to watch his 4 children live in a world where they were valued by their contributions to the world, their character rather than their skin color, he's talking about now. He's talking about today. He's not saying, oh, back then none of this should have happened. He's saying the intention of it was perfect. The intention of it was great. However, the way it's turned out and been twisted is not great. That's what he's talking about, okay? So keep that in mind as we're going through these things. And I will say this one thing. This is the show. This is why I'm showing this specific show. Because of the tweet in 2024, this is the video he was talking about, okay? Really keep that part in mind, because prior to that tweet, Charlie was a big supporter and fan of MLK the man. Then this guy comes along, and he didn't just show up out of nowhere. He's a conservative. He's written books. He's done a lot of research. I will tell you up front, I was able to debunk his research. This man here, Vince, and you'll see. So I kept this very balanced. And even though I like Charlie, I also like MLK, but I didn't know who this gentleman was. So I listened very closely to everything that he was feeding to Charlie in this video. And again, Charlie says, we're going to debunk who MLK was. Fair enough. Let's hear what you have to say. I listened to it. I researched it. And this is the result of it. Okay.
Now, understandably, towards the end of his life, before he was assassinated, he became more and more of a cheerleader for redistributionism, of property confiscation. I'm going to read this quote. White Americans must recognize that justice for black people cannot be achieved without radical changes in the structure of our society. Time out. This is after the Civil Rights Act. And this is after the Voting Rights Act. And this is after the Great Society. Vince, MLK was not satisfied. He was a revolutionary that was pushing for, quote, radical changes in the structure of our society. What did he mean by that? That was in 1967.
It was Marxism, just completely. He had taken the black church and he used it as a political vehicle. He wasn't talking about changing it through Christianity. Jesus Christ told us to change people by changing their hearts. He never talked about using the Roman army to change the minds of the Jewish people or anybody. He said, you have to let your light shine so men might see your good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. King said no. He was like Vito Corleone in The Godfather, you know, when it first came on, and Michael told Kay the story of how Vito took this big bodyguard by the name of Luca Brasi down and put the gun to the head of the band leader and told him either his brains or his name was going to be on the contract to let his godson go. Well, Martin Luther King says, I want to eat a hamburger down south. Man says no. He says, I'm going to go get the federal government. I'm going to put a gun in your head. If Vito Corleone was violent, how was King not violent?
Okay, so those are big charges that they're putting. Okay, this part is low. Let me just fix it for 1 second. I want to make sure that you guys can hear it properly. I apologize for that. It's a little too low for me, and I don't like that. Let me see if it's louder. Putting again. Yes, it is. Okay, so what I end up doing is I listen to this man. I listen to his words, what he has to say, and then I research. I don't just ever blindly believe anything because I can't, because it makes me crazy. So I wasn't just going to take and listen to Charlie's words or Vince's words and say, oh, yes, this happened. This is true. I went and did the research, which is another reason why it took and is taking so long. I am not a fan of people who say things and play a clip for you and think that they've just proven a point. If you're not going to really dig and do the research into such a serious topic, then it's my opinion you shouldn't really be talking about it. So here we go. Did I misunderstand? Was MLK talking about a gun? No, he wasn't. He was not. Hey, Crystal. I was not educated on DEI until American Airlines incident in DC. I was shocked we were doing this. Well, I mean, no, not all DEIs have quotas, to be fair. Some do. You know, it is a thing. I'm sure a lot of people aren't even aware of DEI. They don't know why we have it, where it came from, what it was. But we're going to go over some of those things as well. So we have a lot of employers who would much rather hire a less qualified white person over the most qualified black person. DEI helps qualified people get a chance. I don't know that that is true. I have done some studies. I didn't do the studies. I've looked up the studies. Where we were 50 years ago, where we are today, things have dramatically improved. Are they perfect? Hell no, they're not. They're not perfect. But let me say this. If I own a company and Gray owns a company, and 5 black people apply to me and 5 white people apply to me, I may pick the most qualified person as a white female. Okay, that's who I chose. Gray may pick a black guy as the most qualified person in his company out of those same 10 people. Okay, well, how do we know who was most qualified in our eyes? And you also have to remember this. I've been doing HR interviews for over 20 years. And for me, it's much more about a company fit when the people seem qualified on all levels. So I'm looking for that person who's answering the questions that I'm asking them in the way that's going to fit with the culture within the company. I worked for one place where I was the HR director for years, and it was a very hard job. Very. And I let them know up front. If I hire 20 of you, 10 of you are not going to make it a week. You're not. There was no air conditioning. We were in Mississippi. It was hotter than Satan's toenails. It was an itchy job. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but you weren't going to make it. My plant manager was very tough, and it was a very physical environment. It was not a happy environment. I loved it. I thrived in it. I loved going out there on the floor and working, but a lot of people could not hack it. So you had to really do thorough interviews that took a really long time. And I don't know. I never counted the number of white people versus black people that I hired. I hired the people that met what I needed them to meet. And that was it. Okay. Here we go. That's not what he was saying. He was saying, due to DEI, he hopes everybody's qualified. I think that's what people are missing here too. Let's just get this out of the way. If you know that Delta Airlines has strict DEI guidelines and quotas, if you know that up front, are you ever going to wonder, like, oh, what's going on here? Everybody should have an equal playing field. That means the same testing, the same on-the-job training, on-the-job testing. All of those things should be equal, not different. Are you trying to say that because, let's say, for an example, Community T is black and I'm white, her test should be easier than my test? Her test should be different than my test? That we got the same grades throughout college, but because of DEI, she gets a job that I don't get? If all things are equal and my personality fits better, but they need to hit a quota, she should get the job and I shouldn't? That is not the world MLK was looking for when he gave his speech. It was not. Let's continue. Okay, so those are big charges that they're putting against Dr. King. In 1967, a book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community? King wrote, "We must recognize that we can't solve our problems now until there is a radical redistribution of economic and political power." And he wasn't vague about what he meant. He laid out specific things, jobs or income. Quote, "We must create full employment or we must create incomes." Housing. He fought for federal programs to end slums and build decent homes. Education. He wanted fair schools and funding so kids in poor neighborhoods had the same chance as kids in wealthy suburbs. Healthcare. He called injustice in health the most shocking and inhuman inequality. Priorities. He said, "A nation that spends more on war than programs of uplift is approaching spiritual death." So yes, he was speaking for radical change. And radical doesn't always mean extreme, even though things back then felt very extreme, but it meant going to the root because the civil rights laws were not enough if poverty was still going to trap people. What would that look like today in 2025? So universal basic income, where every adult gets X amount of money per month. For some families, that might cover groceries, Critics would call it a handout. Supporters would call it a lifeline. Housing. Massive federal investments in affordable housing, like building entire complexes of safe, clean apartments in cities where rent eats up almost all of your paycheck. Education, equal funding across schools, which could mean redistributing property tax dollars so a kid. Apologies, let me make sure that all the sound is higher rather than lower. Who said it? Just facts. And when did they say it? Who said that a black person is taking a white person's job? And when did they say that? Go to the 11-minute mark. La, 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 la. Okay, here we go. Charlie, about women not having enough brain. Wait. No, he didn't. No. Hold on one second. My daughter's here. Oh, did you want to show him the bearded dragon?
Charlie.
Okay. So here is the exact quote. Here we go. Did you take out the things? What just happened?
Nothing.
Oh.
Jonah said hi.
Oh, hi. I'm on a live stream, that's why. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. Hey, hoodies.
Charlie. Oh, Charlie's under the sand.
He shouldn't be under the sand.
Oh, no. Charlie's under his house.
Is he?
Yep.
Okay. Grab him.
Hey, Charlie. Good morning.
It's not morning. It's the nighttime.
How's your eye doing? Still closed.
Is it?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to keep playing this while you guys listen, and we'll get to the questions after. Hold on. Imagine the political fight over that. Healthcare, expanding Medicaid, or moving towards that radical redistribution of economic and political power. And he wasn't vague about what he meant. He laid out specific things, jobs or income. Quote, we must create full employment or we must create incomes. Housing. He fought for federal programs to end slums and build decent homes. Education. He wanted fair schools and funding so kids in poor neighborhoods had the same chance as kids in wealthy suburbs. Healthcare, he called injustice in health the most shocking and inhuman inequality. Priorities, he said a nation that spends more on war than programs of uplift is approaching spiritual death. So yes, he was speaking for radical change. And radical doesn't always mean extreme, even though things back then felt very extreme, but it meant going to the root because the civil rights laws were not enough if poverty was still going to trap people. What would that look like today in 2025? So universal basic income, where every adult gets X amount of money per month. For some families, that might cover groceries. Critics would call it a handout. Supporters would call it a lifeline. Housing, massive federal investments in affordable housing, like building entire complexes of safe, clean apartments in cities where rent eats up almost all of your paycheck. Education, equal funding across schools, which could mean redistributing property tax dollars so a kid in Mississippi or Detroit gets the same resources as a kid in Beverly Hills. So imagine the political fight over that. Healthcare, expanding Medicaid or moving towards universal coverage for families. They could be one ER visit away from being broke for the rest of the month. So when Charlie's saying King was cheerleading for redistribution, he's not making it up. King really did call for that. Here's the issue. When MLK was calling for all of these things, he wanted it for dignity. He saw it as trying to help people. But the other side of that is dependency on the government. If your government is guaranteeing your paycheck, your home, your healthcare, your school, you're depending on government for more government and more control. So is that the concern that Charlie and Vince are pointing to? Because history shows us welfare programs can lift people up, but they can also lock people in. Generations can grow up relying on a system instead of breaking free from that system. And once government digs in its little claws, it rarely takes them out. So, was King calling for empowerment through a safety net, or was he opening the door to more government control, which nobody should want? Let's just take it one step further. If we're looking at it from a dignity view, which MLK would talk about, it's a single mother who's working 2 jobs and qualifies for this amount of money. To her, that's not a luxury. It's dinner on the table. But if every year she has to rely on that check, then her future and her kids' futures are tied to whoever is controlling that program in Washington. A veteran struggling with homelessness gets a housing voucher. That's stability for that person. But if that program expands so widely that millions expect subsidized housing as the norm, then taxes go up and other things go up to shelter this permanent cost.
He said he had a dream that one day his fellow children not be judged by the color of their skin, by the content of their character. Well, what's wrong with the color of my skin? I'm going to be walking around some racist, begging him not to judge me by the color of my skin? My Christian religion says I'm not to be concerned about how any man views me. I'm supposed to be concerned about how I view him and how Jesus Christ views me. I'm supposed to love him no matter what he says, no matter what he does. I love him. If he lies on me, I tell the truth on him. If he disrespects me, I respect him. But King said that we were to walk around and dream about a day that some racist white man will look at me and not be offended by the color of my skin. Never me. Never me. There's this story I heard about King where he said that at this hotel inside of Tallahassee. He was trying to segregate it. They called the police on him. And when the police asked him, what did he want? He said, I want my dignity. Well, see, I hate that story. Why? God gave me my dignity. Martin Luther King Jr. is going to let a $2 hotel clerk take his dignity from him. And he's telling black people that the only way you can have your dignity is if white America gives it to you. This is why we're at the bottom of every socioeconomic statistic here in America right now.
So back when MLK said he dreamed his children would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character, that wasn't some wishful poetry. It was a direct challenge to the reality in that time. People were judged by the color every single day. Schools, housing, hiring, in public. His dream was both a critique of that time and a vision for a different future. But now it's 60 years later, and on paper, laws have changed. Segregation's illegal, civil rights are protected. The American promise says opportunity is open to everyone, yet the arguments continue. Some insist that bias still tilts the playing fields, while King's dream is not finished. But others are warning that repeating this idea that skin color defines success risks sending another message, that being black is a handicap, that merit and ability aren't enough. That's where voices like Vince's cut in. He hears King's famous line and flips it around. What's wrong with the color of my skin? Why should I beg a racist not to judge me for it? And his point is blunt. If we keep making race the center of the conversation, do we keep alive the assumption that black people or non-white people are somehow less capable? That's the tension that we hear in his words. Should King's words still guide us as a warning against racism that still persists? Or is repeating them now risking sending the opposite message, that if you're not white, you're not good enough on your own? That's really the question that's being asked and discussed in this segment of what Charlie was doing on this podcast here.
We're not supposed to use the gun of government. I'm going to put a gun in your head and make you give me what I want. And that is the reason why right now, Time Magazine said that America is more segregated now than it was in 1960. Bobby Rush stood on the congressional floor and said our public schools are more segregated now than they were in 1960. What did he achieve? The black family destroyed. The black church is apostate. The black economy is destroyed. The black politician is no good. He turned the black church over to the Democrat Party. We got 5 times more men in prison. The only thing Martin Luther King Jr. did was teach black people to vote for a Marxist Democrat Party. And that's why he has that statue, and that's why they love him. Exactly.
In fact, part of the myth of MLK, I admire a colorblind, nonviolent preacher who tried to bring people together. But the reality is much murkier than that, cloudier, especially when you learn about the man of MLK. Stay right there, Vince. We're going to go right to the breaks.
He said, look at his fruit. Don't watch what he does. Don't watch what he says. You watch what he produces. And he said, you cannot get good fruit from a bad tree or bad fruit from a good tree. The tree and his fruit be out his own. And if the fruit is bad, the tree had to be bad. And the tree is MLK and the Civil Rights Movement. Martin Luther King Jr. was given the first Margaret Sanger Award in 1966. Who was Margaret Sanger? She started Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood killed 65 million children by 2022. 25 million of them white. Martin Luther King Jr. got the Margaret Sanger Award for helping to set up abortion clinics in the black community.
Margaret Sanger. When people call her a racist, they're not doing that in a vacuum. This damn sound. Sorry, hold on. Ugh, why does it keep doing that? Good Lord in heaven. Okay, wait. I know you guys keep putting stuff up. Okay. Is this the January 16th? I believe so, yeah. January 16th, 2024. I want to say that it is. I don't have the exact date, but this is the one he did directly after making that statement on Twitter. That's why I chose this specific one, because allegedly MLK was going to be exposed. So for being a godlike figure, right? It wasn't what were they going to expose exactly? Well, this Vince guy seems to have his own agenda that he's going to expose. So that's what he's talking about. So what are you guys talking about? I don't even know. The sound is testing me. Hey, death by chocolate. And that's totally up to you, Just Facts. I mean, if we can stay within the parameters of what we're talking about, then that's wonderful. And I know that it is, it's a very deep conversation. It's not a simple one at all. But when I see, you know, this man is killed in cold blood in front of us, and quickly things start to spin out of control, whether they are good or bad, whether it's making him the biggest sinner or the biggest saint. Words are twisted for people's own agendas, and that happens all the time. It's happening right now with his former friend Candace Owens. So I don't like being a sheep where I'm just like, oh yeah, he probably said that. Oh yeah. I heard a clip on TikTok and it appears that he said that. And then you don't go and dig. I'm a digger. It's what I like to do. I want to dig into things and find all the context of it, which is why, you know, I've said this 100 times. That's why my videos never get out, because I've got to dig. And sometimes you just need to stop and say, know what? I'm not going to keep digging. We can do this as we go, period. And that's where we are right now. We're just doing it, period. Right? Sound problems and all. It proves she wasn't just talking about... I'm an idiot. Tool of empowerment. She was...
To the break.
Jr. was given the first Margaret Sanger Award in 1966. What's the Margaret? Who was Margaret Sanger? She started Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood killed 65 million children by 2022. 25 million of them white. Martin Luther King Jr. got the Margaret Sanger Award for helping to set up abortion clinics in the Black community.
Margaret Sanger. When people call her a racist, they're not doing that in a vacuum. They're pointing straight to her own words. One of the most infamous examples comes from a December 10th, 1939 letter about the Negro Project. She wrote, quote, "We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members." So critics argue you can't even use the word exterminate unless that's a real fear or something that you're looking to do. To them, it proves she wasn't just talking about birth control as a tool of empowerment. She was playing with eugenics, targeting Black families, making sure community leaders were used to smooth over suspicion. And that's why it lands the way that it does. It sounds a lot less like helping and more like population control. But it is complicated because the Negro Project wasn't something she rolled out all by herself. She brought in Black leaders, ministers, doctors, to sell it within their own communities. Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Sr. and later his son Adam, who was a congressman, were both involved in birth control advocacy. W.E.B. Du Bois also lent Du Bois. I always said Du Bois when I was a kid, but also lent support in writing in the Birth Control Review. One of the things he said was shocking. Quote, "The mass of ignorant Negroes still breed carelessly and disastrously, so that the increase among Negroes, even more than the increase among whites, is from that portion of the population least intelligent and fit, and least able to rear their children properly." So yes, that is shocking, but he believed family planning would uplift the race by strengthening the educated middle-class black families while slowing the growth among the poor. Ugh. But for critics, that made it even worse. I mean, they're seeing that as manipulation, trying to enlist trusted black leaders to get on board with a program that has its roots in eugenics. Sanger wrote in that letter to use ministers to straighten out anyone who questioned whether it was really about their survival. Was this for their benefit? So she was cunning in what she was trying to do. MLK and Sanger never really knew each other. She died in '66, 2 years before he was assassinated. But the legacies do cross. That same year that she died, Planned Parenthood gave King the first Margaret Sanger Award. He didn't attend, but Coretta did, and she accepted it on his behalf. In his written remarks, King praised family planning as a tool of freedom and justice, especially for poor families struggling of the weight of too many children and too little income.
It was Martin Luther King Jr. that asked, that demanded that LBJ put the man in house clause in welfare. Yeah, he demanded it. LBJ wanted to use the federal government to put the black man back in charge of his family. King said no. David Garrow writes about this in his book, Bearing the Cross. They said put the man in house clause in welfare so that if the man is in the house, the woman gets no money and he had to be run out before she gets a dime. In one generation, the black community went from 80% of their children being born in wedlock to 80% being born out of wedlock. Why?
Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the man in the house clause that was put into the welfare system. I know about it. I've known about it for 10 years, 15, 20, who the hell knows? I don't know. Back when I used to do all the research on all the things, a lot of it was about society, race, relations, how the government, the media all try to keep us separate. So there was something back in the day, it was a clause that was put into the system that if you had a man in your home, whether he was the father of the children or not, whether he lived there or not, maybe he was just sleeping over, they could come into your house, they could look around. If they found men's shoes, your ass might be kicked right off the program. So Vince here is alleging that MLK went to Lyndon B. Johnson and said, no, you need to put that clause in. You need to do that. Okay? So I want you to listen very closely to that. The video played in its entirety. I don't know what you're asking me there. I don't know who Blake Neff is. Blake Neff? As a tool of freedom and justice, especially for poor families struggling of the weight of too many children and too little income.
It was Martin Luther King Jr. that asked, that demanded that LBJ put the man in house clause in welfare. Yeah, he demanded it. LBJ wanted to use the federal government to put the black man back in charge of his family. King said no. David Garrow writes about this in his book, Bearing the Cross. They said put the man in house clause in welfare so that if the man is in the house, the woman gets no money and he had to be run out before she gets a dime. In one generation, the Black community went from 80% of their children being born in wedlock to 80% being born out of wedlock. Why? MLK's fingerprints were all over it.
So I went through David Garrow's Bearing the Cross book myself personally, then I had AI search it twice. Vince says it's there, but it isn't. There is no reference anywhere in that book connecting Martin Luther King Jr. to the Man in the House clause, and there's no evidence that he ever pushed Lyndon Johnson to adopt it. The real history is the Man in the House clause wasn't Johnson's idea at all, and it certainly wasn't MLK Jr.'s. It came from state welfare agencies in the 50s and 60s before the War on Poverty. States created the rule under aid to families with dependent children. They were denying benefits of if an able-bodied man was found in the home. So in practice, it meant poor Black families were targeted and they were punished for having a father figure. By 1960, the federal government under Eisenhower had already tried to curb the practice with what became known as the Fleming Rule, warning states that they couldn't simply cut children off from aid because of a man in the house. And then in 1968, the Supreme Court struck the clause down completely because of King versus Smith, not Martin Luther King. This was a lady named Anna King. But anyway, the Man in the House rule was a state-level policy rooted in welfare bureaucracy, not LBJ, not MLK, and nothing that you're going to find in Bearing the Cross.
We know for certain that MLK, being a minister, was a womanizer and had multiple 40-plus affairs. I want to make sure that is mentioned. Now, that's not necessarily a disqualification, but it should make pause before we turn that into a national holiday. But there's also another accusation around Martin Luther King. This guy won a Pulitzer Prize for running an MLK bio by David Garrow, as you say. So the accusation is essentially based on a FBI document, which could be fabricated. The FBI lies. So I will put that an asterisk on that because I don't believe everything the FBI says.
Let me say this. I want to make it clear that prior to all of this, Charlie was a fan, a supporter of MLK. Look at this man Vince's face when Charlie talks about MLK being a womanizer. He really rubs me the wrong way, this man. In addition to the fact that I was able to debunk him on several things just by listening to this video and doing some research, he really aggravates me because it appears to me he's trying to build his career. I mean, he wrote a book and all the things. I mean, he has other books, but I just was searching so that I could put the link to this video. And just since Charlie's died, okay, 3 days ago, he plays a video about MLK, the welfare, and the Black family, where he's talking with Charlie. Then 3 days ago, he does Charlie Kirk assassinated. Vince Everett Ellis responds with Truth and Courage. 7 days ago, Vince Ellison with Charlie Kirk. 7 days ago, white liberals are more dangerous than the Klan. 3 hours ago, Charlie Kirk murdered. The truth they don't want you to know. 1 year ago, shocking proof Martin Luther King was not a Christian. Just over and over again, it feels to me like this man has some type of agenda. I don't know what the hell it is, but I can tell you that he stated things that simply were not true. No history that I could find on it. No reliable sources. I don't find it amusing that MLK was a womanizer at all. Files will be coming out on what they recorded. The video, audio, all of that have been sealed on MLK until January of 2027. But those are coming out. And I don't know that we're going to like what we find out. I'm afraid of what we're going to find out. One of the first books my son read that he has in his room is about MLK Jr. So it bothers me to hear these things that they're about to say. It really upset me when I heard it. Like, well, this couldn't be true, could it? But if you're looking at, forget about MLK, the leader, forget that part for a moment, and think about MLK, the man. This is a man that we hold up as an example for our boys to say, this is a good man. So when they talk about this, again, the FBI absolutely fucking lies. The government absolutely fucking lies. And that's just the way that it is. They lie. They do experiments on their own people. They trick us with the media. They won't even let us do a third party system because they only promote Democrats and Republicans. That it's just a mess. Our government, same chicken, two different wings, whatever. But he's about to talk about some sensitive things, so.
But this is a Pulitzer Prize winner on the King biography, said, quote, a group met in a hotel room and discussed which women among the parishioners would be suitable for natural and unnatural sex acts. When one of the women protested that she did not approve of this, the Baptist minister immediately and forcibly raped her. The type summary states, parenthetically, saying that, quote, Martin Luther King looked on, laughed, and offered advice while the woman was raped. Vince, your reaction?
Well, I believe it because in Ralph Abernathy's book, And the Walls Came Tumbling Down, he talked about the night before King died after he gave the mountaintop speech. And he said that he went over, they said that they went to Reverend Benjamin Hook's house for dinner. That was a cover story, but that wasn't true. He said they actually went to this one woman's house and King slept with her. Then they went to the Lorraine Motel and he met with the first female black senator from Georgia. Her name was Georgia. Last name was Powers. They said the King slept with her. While there, they say his second wife, her name was Dorothy Cotton. She worked for the ACLC. Found out what happened, and she confronted King. And Ralph Abernathy said they got to fighting in the hotel room, and King beat her up. Now, this is what Ralph Abernathy said. This is not the FBI. So this looks like this was part of King's behavior. He slept with two women that night. Then he beat up a third woman the night before he got shot. So, and about these FBI files, I'm going to tell you, Charlie, why I believe them. You and I know that they have the suicide letter in these FBI files, where the FBI sent King a note with sex tapes in it, telling them that they were going to release all this stuff if he didn't commit suicide. If these guys were going to lie about something, they would have lied about that. They would have took that suicide letter out, or they would have redacted it or something. If you're going to put a letter in the file that says you told a guy to kill himself, you're going to put everything in the file.
Martin Luther King was a great leader. He was a man of courage, but he was not perfect. No one is. The FBI wiretapped his phones. They bugged his hotel rooms. Their motive was to discredit him. And that means some of their claims are exaggerated or unreliable. Probably. But even beyond their smear campaign, King's own aides, some of his closest people, did acknowledge that he had affairs. Historians like David Garrow, Taylor Branch, use diaries, interviews, documents, and they do confirm King was definitely unfaithful to Coretta. And that's a matter of record. But there are allegations that are sealed for the next 2 years until 2027. The recordings, the transcripts, we have not seen those. So some might suggest he may have been present or aware of assaults. Whether those claims hold up remains to be proven when those files are unsealed. But even setting those aside, the truth we do know is sobering, because a good man isn't watching a rape if it's true. A good man isn't sleeping with multiple women while he's married and using the term pastor. And that goes for MLK and any of those Christian megachurch pastors who've been busted doing the same thing. It doesn't erase his fight for civil rights. It doesn't erase the Voting Act or the March on Washington or Selma. But it does remind us that greatness and goodness are not the same thing. King did great things, but he was also a deeply flawed man. So if we're going to tell this story honestly, we can't hide that fact that much of this is likely true. Some of it might be completely exaggerated. And as Charlie said, we know the government lies to us. So do I trust everything that they've said? Absolutely not.
So if you read the books of the people that know King best, you'll see that this type of behavior that the FBI is talking about was something that they all knew he did and that they all validated. So yes, I believe it. And again, a tree is known by the fruit it bears. A fish rots from the head down. Look at the condition of the Black community, and you'll see that it was led by a bunch of liars, perverts, psychopaths, and anti-Christian bigots. And one last thing, King was excommunicated from the Black church in 1961. So people think that King was a Southern Black preacher. He was excommunicated from the National Baptist Convention in 1961 because he tried to take over the National Baptist Convention for the Civil Rights Movement. They had a bishop by the name of Bishop Jackson that didn't want this to happen. So at the convention in Kansas City in 1961, King and his boys decided to try to force a floor vote on the floor. They got into a fist fight and they killed a preacher on the floor at the convention in 1961.
All right, he's not too far off here, but excommunication, I don't think that's the right thing. The National Baptist Convention, or the NBC, was the largest Black religious organization in the U.S. In the early 60s, King and his allies in the civil rights movement wanted the NBC to take a more active and public role in supporting civil rights protests. The NBC president, Reverend Joseph Jackson, believed in addressing racial injustice through gradualism, law and order, rather than protests and direct action. So there was a big difference in philosophy, and that led to a huge power struggle. In 61, after the convention that Vince just mentioned, there was violence and the death of a delegate. So King and many other activists were stripped of their positions within NBC, and they decided to leave and formed a new denomination, the Progressive National Baptist Convention, which welcomed direct action and became a major religious engine of the civil rights movement.
Religion. And it's called the Progressive National Baptist Convention. Look it up. That is a sect that Raphael Warnock belongs to. They believe in abortion, LGBTQ, all kind of crazy stuff. They are an apostate organization. It's called the Progressive National Baptist Convention. People still thought the King was part of the National Baptist Convention because the National Baptist Convention was in the name. No, he was excommunicated from the Black church.
Is that when MLK was alive, his approval rating was rather low, right near 30%. So his contemporaries did not think very highly of him. In fact, even in the decades that followed, it was a big lift to get it to become a federal holiday. Now he has an approval rating near 96 to 98%.
So let's read this. Oh my God, Tracy, really?
It was a big lift to get it to become a federal holiday.
Sorry.
Now he has an approval rating near 96 to 98%.
The polls in the 60s were overwhelmingly white. Okay? 85% though they were white, in 1963. And 92% of Black Americans approved. Only 35% of white Americans approved. So when Charlie's saying that his overall approval rating was in the 30s, yes, among white people, not among Black people. So that's not really fair to put it out like that. Most recent pollings, 98 positive by Black people and 52% say that he had a very positive impact. So that's today's polling. Overall, 98% of Black people feel like MLK had a positive impact, but only 52% say he had a very positive impact. Fair, okay. Today, 87% of white Americans approve, and 46% say he had a very positive impact. That's today's numbers.
Vince, what you bring up a very powerful point here that I want to emphasize, which is we've largely thought of MLK as a hologram. And I want to be very morally clear to the audience. It's actually a hologram that it makes sense. Again, you have a guy that allegedly was arguing for a colorblind, merit-based society. That's the country I want to live in.
For the sake of myself, I really do appreciate the ability to debate with you, man.
I want you to think about what I asked you.
Okay, you mind if I have a hat?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Great points. I would say that I am with you for the idea of a colorblind society. I think it's a bit of a farce to say that colorblind society is something we should aspire to, but I think it's a farce to think that it doesn't exist, that race doesn't play a factor.
I totally agree.
Okay.
Yeah, you're Black, but it doesn't matter. It's not the most important thing. Instead, it's, are you a good person? How do you act? How do you treat other people? Are you a Christian? Like, what is your worldview? I want to get back to that. Of course, we're still going to see differences, but I want to de-emphasize them to a place where we look at each other as fellow human beings and fellow American citizens. Thank you so much,
Absolutely
man.
not.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, can I get a hat from my buddy?
Absolutely.
Can I get a hat from my buddy? Thank you, man. Can I shake your hand, man? Appreciate you. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you, guys.
Thankfully, I was raised away from all that, 2 loving parents.
And that's the greatest thing that you are, one of the, if not the greatest. And that's my hope for every child, Black, white, or Asian, to have 2 parents. That is a ticket to success. Please continue. But here's something I will encourage you to do as a Christian. Care less about people's shared racial experience and look at them instead of just as their soul as God made them. We should try to strive towards a blinder race nation, not one that talks about skin color all the time.
I agree 100%.
And I think, where's my brother up here? Where's my man? Look at him. You got to come up here. Come up here. Come up here. Come up here. Get over the gate. Come over the gate. Look at this guy here. Look at this. Yeah. Right to the mic.
You stand for me, we good.
Wait, I only stand up for white. Is that a white man? Can you look at him, please? Look at him. Is that a white man? Is that a white man? You said I only stand up for white men. He's got dreads. Instead of just looking at everything in the past that's wrong and bad through a victim lens, say, you know what?
It's still going on. Okay,
one sec. Say, you know what? I'm an American, and I'm going to use my mental energy to say, despite all of that, I get to succeed and flourish and prosper as a Black American at the University of Tennessee. You are a living embodiment, Gigi, that you can still succeed as a Black individual. Because I look at you not as a Black guy, but as a human being made in the image of God, and I want to know what you bring to the table. Are you good at the job?
Something that kind of has me like on the fence of whether or not I go kind of like full blown more like conservative or moderate. But something that like I've seen and just reading things from like Candace Owens and seeing how like welfare has like really like destroyed like the family unit. I see that, you know, we're starting to save a lot of money from things such as like Doge and what they're doing to minimize government. But do you think that some of that money should go back to maybe like reforming the way that welfare is done to help poor families who do want to kind of pursue that American dream? So maybe such as programs like Healthy Start, or there's like a fatherhood program here in Tallahassee me and my family have benefited from to just, you know, promote the family unit.
I think, great question. The number one objective of any social welfare program should be, how do we keep the family together and put dads back in the family? Yes. That is the number one priority. We don't have to overthink it. Every number gets better for every community if dads are around. Every number gets worse when dads are not around. Unfortunately, in the Black community, dads are the most absent of any community. About 2/3 of all Black youth will be raised without a stable father around. And I know, it's crazy, right? And that little precious angel of yours deserves to have a father around. And
You know, for daughters and for sons, it's different things. For a daughter, that's a father figure to look up to say that is how a man should act, and someone that I ought to one day marry, someone that will protect me from a vicious world, and someone that makes me understand what strength and not brutality looks like, what justice but not revenge looks like. To have a father figure is a silent way of forming a child to be a mature citizen. And unfortunately, as we've removed dads from families, government has come in and has taken the place. So some people need help and they need social assistance. All of that should be about incentivizing the dad staying around, not the dad leaving.
The civil rights community. So McGeorge Bundy was over the Ford Foundation at that time. He told Moynihan that we are sponsoring a retreat for the civil rights community. Come with me down there and present your findings to them. McGeorge Bundy, Moynihan went down there, met with Martin Luther King Jr. and the members of the civil rights community. According to David Garrow, McGeorge Bundy said it's a wonder Moynihan got out of that room alive. They called him everything but a child of God, cussed him out, called him a racist. Moynihan goes back to LBJ and said, man, these people are crazy. We can't have nothing to do with them. LBJ said we got to do what they said do. They came back and met with LBJ, and the feminists in the movement said, instead of taking the federal government to put the man back in charge of his family, we need to use it to get the man out because marriage is just like slavery. And instead of putting and fixing the welfare state where women could get welfare if they got married, they changed it to where if they caught a man in the house, she could get no help. And in one generation, the Black community went from having 80% of their children in wedlock to 80% being born out of wedlock. And they put the man in-house clause in welfare, and it destroyed the Black family.
Now, I do believe some of that to be true. I do. But, I mean, I don't know how much Martin Luther King Jr. had to do with that. And that's where I am in the video right now. So we will stop it there because that's where I was with it. I mean, there are so many other things that have been talked about over time. The welfare state in itself, is it a good thing, a bad thing? I don't know. That's not up for me to determine. Was Charlie a good person or a bad person? I guess it's how you define good or bad. Sadly, I think it's based on our politics. Whether you're right or left. Which I hate. I hate the whole right-left thing. You know, I believe things on both sides of the aisle. It all depends. It really depends. Like what the topic is. And I hate that people want to put you in a box or put anybody in a box. Because Charlie was against DEI, people assume he was against Black people. I mean, that's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I mean, I could sit here and play an hour of just his videos, just his words, him talking, his videos. This here was specifically to debunk some of the things that, or confirm some of the things that were said in this specific video, because this is the video that he was talking about on Twitter. So, Jace, is that you, buddy?
Yes.
All right, it's time for you to go lay down. I'll be in there in 1 minute. I got to get your clothes, okay?
I know that, but I think Urias's eyes are red.
Yeah, they are. He needs a Benadryl. I'll give him one tonight.
Why is his eyes red?
Because he's scratching because he has allergies, honey.
Oh,
I'll be right there, okay?
okay. I love you.
Love you. So, but we're back together the last 5 years of his life. Yeah. He's human, good and bad, just like the rest of us. Yes, but it's bigger because you're just jonesing and I'm just chasing. And fur baby's just fur baby and community tea is just community tea. we didn't have the reach and the voice that Charlie Kirk had. So people either want to use him as good or bad right now. And it's very unfair because he was shot in the throat and killed in front of all of us. So it's upsetting that anybody is using it in a way to further their own agendas. Does that make sense? If you're using his death or his words from the past as a way to further your own bullshit, I have no respect for you. It doesn't make sense to me why anybody would do that just to, and I'll even use Candace Owens again. I watched a very important video that I'll probably share with you guys tomorrow. One of his board members and some of his friends have spoken out about what Candace Owens is doing right now, and Candace is enraged. I'm sure she cared for Charlie very much, but the fact of the matter is they hadn't been close in several years, and she's pushing her conspiracy theories that she has, and Candace is somebody I used to listen to all the time. But now it's just difficult to do that. It really is, because it's hard to watch her in pain, number one. I mean, she's in pain and she's angry, but Charlie's dead a week now, a week. One of the things that they said in the video was, can Erica just have this time? Why the hell are you out here doing this? Why? And if it isn't for clicks and views, what the fuck is it for? Yeah, I don't either, Stevie. It's very annoying. So, let me go up here. I'm so sorry. Did you watch Chase Hughes' 23-minute video? The Biggest Lies, something like that? No, I have not. I have not. I mean, I can, but no, I have not. Hey, Tawanda, good to see you. He did help many. I will not lie that I have cried. I think that video changed a lot in me. I've never seen anything like that. It really bothered me to the point where, my whole focus for many, 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 many days was just on listening to the things that he said. It's shocking to me. Hey, Kraken, good to see you. It does make sense, especially since they're chopping up Charlie's words. It's so frustrating to me that that's happening, and I don't like it being used in this way. It's wrong. She said that they were just talking right before, perhaps, but I don't know that to be true either. I do know that those closest to him have debunked the whole Israel payoff thing. I know that. I don't even know any of that. I don't know about that. They did not really prove that Candace and Charlie were not close anymore, just lip service. Well, I feel like what they did prove is she hasn't been to his events in the past 2 years. She was not invited to speak at his funeral, which I found strange because I did think that they were extremely close until just listening to this. I don't know that she was on tour with him, Miss Question. Was she? Because they were asking, like, when's the last time Charlie and Candace did something together? When's the last time this and that? So I don't know. And I hadn't looked. I just listened to this last night. Oh, goodness. I don't get her putting these theories. Not right now. Not right now. Okay, so she came to the Live Free tour in the spring of 2024. They made joint appearances at a college campus and public events. They were central speakers at several of the stops, promoting values, engaging in debates. After the tour, media reports indicated personal and professional tension between the two, yet Candace continued to participate in TPUSA events, and she was on the organization by 24. Hey, Aussie Trisha, thank you so much. Well, Candace was somebody that I enjoyed a lot. She really was. Yeah, that's all I want people to do. Research on your own, really, truly research on your own. Me too, Kraken. I think she's very sad. I think she's very angry, especially if there was tension between the two. Then I hope she talked to him right before. I hope that whatever the tension was, it wasn't bad, right? I hope that it was okay. Yeah, Tara, there's so much rhetoric about it. Isn't it weird, Tawanda? And I've seen all over TikTok where grown men are like, why the hell am I crying? Why? Good to see you, Ryan. And I feel the same way. I feel weird. Like, what the hell am I crying about? I didn't know him. I don't know. Hey, Taylor. It really changed me. And I know that I know it's a really weird thing to say, right? It's another reason I'm not on camera. It's a really weird thing to watch a man die. Not weird. Jarring. Tragic. Devastating. All the words that you can think of. Then when you put on top of it that he was a Christian, for me that's important. It may not be for other people, but for me, one of his biggest things was being out there speaking his truth. And we're so afraid to do that these days. We're made fun of. We're looked at in a different way. Like, oh God, are they going to start preaching to me now? Are they trying to recruit me into their church or whatever? No. We should be able to talk about it. We should be able to say, I am a Christian. I pray. I feel like this. This is what I feel like. And we don't. When we started to become embarrassed or ashamed, I don't know. But I know that a lot of people don't discuss it. I hope that's the case, Nicole. I do. Yeah, I followed him a long time. And I loved listening to the debates. I thought that they were super interesting. It gave me things to think about. She did. She's had several children, yes. I'm a nurse, and it hit me so hard. Well, I like that. That's a good thing, too. Watch D.L. Hughley. He's going to tell me what's up with what? With Charlie? The rhetoric about Israel is what's bothering me. That's where I'm at with it. Trump and Vance are speaking at the funeral, yes, but there are other speakers there as well. That's interesting, Daisy. Well, I mean, she said that she did, and they debunked her last night. I'm way behind. I suck. What the hell? Thank you. How the hell did I get way up there? I don't even know. Like, what in the world is this damn thing doing? Okay, here we go. I'm back down. For sure. That's another thing that I really have enjoyed seeing on TikTok is all of the people who are just like, I don't even care anymore. I don't care anymore. Did Charlie Kirk say he was a Christian? Say who was a Christian? Himself? Yeah, you're right, Crystal. True, Kim. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know. I like that. You've cried every day too? Isn't it strange? It really is. It's a strange thing. And I don't know why. I don't know. Hey, Joe. Well, we're going to see. I don't know about the Israel thing. I think it's weird. I don't understand it. You know? The Israel thing, then where does Tyler come in? Like, if Israel did it, then where does Tyler come in? It doesn't. I don't know. Aging parents. If so, it's terrifying. I mean, if there's something out there that comes out, I don't know. I think that's absolutely insane. If something does come out, I don't know. I pray that it doesn't, because it's friggin' terrifying. So I don't know. Hold on 1 second here. Let's see, where is that? Tucker and Megan are claiming they were threatened too. Yeah, I need to catch up tonight. Lynette, there's a lot, and if I were you, I would just go straight to his channel, honestly. Just go to his channel. That's it. And just listen, you know? Just listen. And, I mean, you may be like, I don't like him. But there may be things that you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, you know? Yeah, I've seen that out there, and I wondered about that too. Like, oh, wait a minute.
Still can't believe that they killed him. He was just talking to kids at the college. I still can't believe that they filmed it. His name is Charlie.
All right, we're going to listen to a little sing song before we go.
Still can't believe that they killed him. He was just talking to kids at the college. I still can't believe that they filmed it. His name is Charlie, a guy who named Tyler shot him from on top of a building. Now he's a martyr cause he was too godly for some, it was too much to deal with. And you ask me how I'm feeling? Really, I'm angry and mad. Stages of grief, won't get to 3. Where's my Patriots at? Hey. Everyone raise up a flag. Hey. Red, white, and blue on the land. Hey. Celebrate Charlie the man. Hey. The Christian, the husband, the dad. We don't got time for no sad songs, but I got time to come snap on these demons who get and they laugh on. A Christian, a husband, a dad gone. They killed him, America, heart is hurt. Shot him in public, it's evil work. For all of our enemies, made it worse. You only made number your Charlie Kirks. If you right, then prove me wrong. Used to be a few, now we got a leash on. About to double up places we speak on. There's a holy war and I got the thing drawn. Bulletproof Bible, we believe God. Ephesians 6 point. This the turning point. For my babies and the ladies, every girl and boy. This the turning point. This the turning point. For my babies and the ladies, every girl and boy. I turn off the news and I put my truth on. Stopping everything that I put my boots on. After everybody mocking Jesus, true God. American martyr, this one for you, Charles. Oh no, better call Dr. Umar. A black man agree with the white man. This how it sounds when you bringing Christ back. And this how it sounds when we finally fight back. Department of War, G.I. Joe. Anti-American got to go. I don't know what you've been told. FYI, I saw the jokes. Post a social media post. Charleston White, watch your pie hole. Anybody can get it, so hit the flow. Everybody got to know. This the turning point. This the turning point. For my babies and the ladies, every girl and boy. This the turning point. This the turning point. For my babies and the ladies, every girl and boy. This the turning point. This the turning point. For my babies and the ladies, every girl and boy. This the turning point. This the turning point. For my babies and the ladies, every girl and boy. This the turning point. What about me? What about the love I get? What about me? What about the hate I get? What about me? What about her and him? What about me? What about they and them? What about you? Do the work just like I do. What about you? Says that you deserve it too. What about you? Owning everything you do. What about you? What about you? I'm irritated. I'm done with other people claiming, saying that we racist. I'm done with other people saying that we homophobic. I'm done with other people claiming claims when they don't know us. I just.
So, this video is by the Marine Rapper. That's his name.
Still can't believe that they killed him.
They did a song for him, and then you've got, hold on, this one here as well.
I don't know what to say, Lord. But I know that I can stay silent. And I don't know what to pray, Lord. So I pray that I don't turn violent. I try to turn the other cheek. Evil's everywhere I turn, I feel it turning me into someone I don't wanna be, someone that don't forgive. But if we let evil go, we just punish the innocent. Two children woke up without daddy and a wife without a husband, and you celebrate in public like you love it. So disgusted, God, I'm trying not to cuss, but what the do that around me and I'm swinging, that's on everything I love. And if they lock me up, then lock me up and throw away the key. Rather be a man behind bars than a coward living free. You probably got no principles if you ain't got no enemies. This the point of no return, your turning point where you need me. Cause laughing at a man's death, same as pissing on his grave. But I bet you cowards thinking that you brave. I said, laughing at a man's death, same as pissing on his grave. But I bet you won't do that in my face. Cause these cowards shot a stand-up man while he was sitting down. I don't recognize the world that we live in now. The Bible said that this would happen, it's all written down. The final minutes of the final time is ticking, Jesus coming any minute now. They shame was sacred while they celebrating sinning now. I say it loud enough that you can hear it in the clouds. I'd rather die than live life like a cow. Cold blood and they celebrate like the letters from heaven say. Hearts of many will grow cold in the end of days. Father, forgive me for not forgiving, teach me how to love. Cause love's the last thing on my mind right now after seeing that blood. But then I look up and I shake my head, thinking about the blood you shed and words you said. They know now what they do, think it was something like that. I don't got your book memorized, so I know that my pen at times can stray off the pages. So I just pray that I remember that. A coward dies dies 1,000 deaths, a martyr dies just once. When a coward kills a soldier, the whole army rises up. I said a coward dies 1,000 deaths, a martyr dies just once. And when a coward kills a soldier, the whole army rises up. Coward shot to stand up, man, while he was sitting down. I don't recognize the world that we live in now.
Breaker. This one hurts.
A young Christian man took a bullet for speaking his mind. Name was Charlie, husband, daddy, voice for the kids. Lord, why'd it go down like that? Stage lights cold as a winter rain. One breath, one prayer, then the world went strange. Crowd froze up when the thunder cracked. Truth on a mic and a life attacked. He talked about hope in a storming land, Bible in the heart and a promise in his hands. But a shadow reached from a coward's perch, cut down a son in the middle of church. And I swear if the tables turned the other way, y'all know there'd be fires in the streets today. But here we stand with candles and a folded flag, begging God for mercy on the road we drag. How dare they steal the breath from a faithful man? How dare they stain the grass where his boots once stand? They call us evil, point at our cross, then pull that trigger and reckon no cost. If it were theirs, there'd be sirens and flames, but we're praying for truth while we whisper his name. Charlie, we ain't letting go of your hand. Erica holding on to picture frame, two little hearts asking who's to blame. America's weeping like a mourning dove when a voice falls silent that was speaking love. He stirred up halls with a lion's roar, told young souls they were made for more. Now we kneel in the quiet where the echoes ring and promise to carry what he came to bring. If the shoe was flipped, you'd hear a different cry, but we'll choose the truth and we won't reply. We're fire for fire, stone for stone. We'll stand for justice and we won't back down. How dare they steal the breath from a faithful man? How dare they stain the grass where his boots once stand? They call us evil, point at our cross, then pull that trigger and reckon no cost. If it were theirs, there'd be sirens and flames, but we're praying for truth while we whisper his name. Charlie, we ain't letting go of your hand. Sheriff right and the truth come clean. Let the darkness face what it's never seen. We won't forget and we won't lose heart, sowing his mission where the fields are sparse. To every kid who thinks they're alone, take up the banner and bring it home. Speak what's right through the night feels long. Make your life the answer, make your faith a song. How dare they steal the breath from a faithful man? But grace still moves like the river can. We'll lift that cross, we'll guard that flame, hold tight to hope and and say his name. If it were theirs, they'd burn the town. But we'll fight with truth, we won't bow down. Charlie, your light keeps riding on.
For Charlie, for his family, for every kid who needed that voice, we'll carry it now. Rest in peace, Charlie. Peace aloud.
It's a beautiful song. His name is Diesel. And there are, I can't even tell you. If you're not a TikTok person, there's so many people. Oh, Lynette. That's a good thing. I understand. A lot of people are like, why are you upset about this guy's death? Why this guy? What about the kids? What about this person? What about that person? I'm upset about any person who dies. I think the difference this time is we saw it happen. He was just there to talk to people, and he never gets to make it home. And we saw it happen. I've never seen anything like that before. It bothered me. I can't even explain it. Yeah. And he was making a difference. And I think, another example, very minor, probably not a great example, but Nunya going over to talk to Elevated Truth. They may never speak again. They may never see eye to eye on anything. And he may have changed his mind the minute she got down. But it was a conversation. It was an open dialogue. It was a conversation. We're not used to doing that anymore. We want to yell at each other. We want to argue like lawyers instead of listen and learn like scientists. That'll just stick with me forever. If you come at it like a lawyer where you want to win, you're not even hearing what the other person is saying. You're not. You're not. Yeah, it's our Holy Spirit. But I bet you half of the people who have been murdered were Christians, and we didn't see it happen. And it's a blip because our world is so screwed up. It's a blip on the radar. Another school shooting, another mother murdered, another man shot in Chicago, another carjacking. You just kind of hear these things and you internally become numb. You're sad, but you're like, geez, when is it going to end? Isn't that the thing? You say a prayer, you hope for better, and you have to go on with your day because life, right? But this, I don't have any idea why. Maybe it was the effect of social media, the effect of TikTok, the effect of watching grown men lose themselves listening to these things and saying, nothing's ever hit me like this. Hey, truth. Yeah. I agree. It's so hard. This has been, and I don't know why. I don't know. It's just very different. It's a different one. And it makes you want to fight more. It makes you more angry. I don't like Shapiro, but he's like, I'm going to pick up that bloody mic and keep going. I don't care who does it. I hope it's somebody that can honor Charlie and really take his message further. I did find somebody. I want to share it with you guys, though. Hold on. This was crazy. I didn't even know they existed. And I was scrolling through Instagram. Please let them have posted so that I can show you guys. What the hell are their names, man? I did see them earlier today. Aha! Okay. Cam Higby. Fearless Debates. Okay. If you go to Fearless Debates on Instagram, let's see if they have a TikTok. Hold on.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. All right. Fearless Debates. I hope they have a TikTok. I don't know, but I saw them on. They were at UNC Charlotte today. Oh, okay. And they're doing a Fearless tour. How friggin' cool is that? I love it. Okay. All right. So I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm just going to show it to you guys. So just really quickly. Some people are making fun of bullhorn betting, for example. And I don't think that that's fair either. She's met him at least, and why not? Why not go? If you have the means to get there, friggin' go. Let's see. Hold on. All right, so these guys are doing it too. And I hope a lot more. I hope a lot more people decide to pick up that microphone and go. Just go. Go do it. All right, so this is their names. Fearless Debates. I think this is them, or somebody just copied it or whatever, but.
In drug and narcotics trafficking. They have 3 passports.
Is the cartel white?
Cartel, what?
Is the Mexican cartel white?
The Mexican cartel is a distributor. Okay. They're a distributor. It is a pharmaceutical area that produces a large amount of crops that are what.
Where is that?
Opium. It's in Vietnam. It's in.
Okay, they're not white.
Vietnam.
Okay, the reality
is Afghanistan.
Okay.
It's in Colombia.
The raw materials for fentanyl come from China. China manufactures those.
Manufactures
raw fentanyl, right?
Yeah, no, the materials that are used, when you combine them together in fentanyl.
Hey, get off our table! Get off our table! It doesn't matter! Colorblind is actually a racist society.
If you escape to the north or wherever, white people, whomever, have an obligation to return you to your master. That's something inscribed in law.
That's not critical race theory. We can just diet it down. Well, I'll tell you what Kimberly Crenshaw calls critical race theory. She believes that a society that is colorblind is actually a racist society.
There's our evidence.
These poor guys are going through it. I don't like that. Hey, Gavel. This is upsetting that they're having to go through that. Let me make sure that, let me see if they've actually got a TikTok and that we're not being tricked here, because I feel like we're being tricked. Let me see Cam Higby, because they've got 300,000 followers on Instagram. So, but it's called Fearless Debates. So you might want to go follow him. Maybe I'm following one of them. His name's Cam, Cam Higby, Higby. Oh, looks like he's on YouTube too. What? I'm sure. I didn't know that. I did not know you were over here on the YouTubes. All right, what's
On the
he
other
doing?
side of that fence is Gaza. About 10 minutes, we're going to go in.
Oh, Gaza. What are you doing, sir? Okay, yeah. So they're out there doing the thing. Cam Higby, Higby on YouTube. So that's cool too. I'm going to go follow them over there. Oh, my goodness. Bye-bye. See, that's why some of these people are way better than me. Because if somebody snatches a hat off my head, we're going to have a problem. And I think we as creators need to pick up our mics as well. We have to. Well, Betty's going. Bullhorn Betty's driving there. I don't know if she's there yet. She might be. She might be. Dean Withers and his debates too. I will definitely check them out. You're going to be an ostrich? Why? Why are you an ostrich? Don't be an ostrich. I mean, ostriches are cute. I need to check on Betty. Isn't that... Did I ever think I'd hear those words out of my mouth? No, I never did. But I didn't make sure she made it there safe. I don't even know if she's there yet. She is. She got there.
Where the left calls people enemies of the
Oh, is
Republic,
this it?
calls them fascists, says they're Nazis, says they're...
Where are you? Are you there? She might be there by now. Whoever thought I'd be watching a Bullhorn Betty video for not reasons other than calling her an idiot. Here we are. Life is weird. I haven't subscribed or anything, but you know. I guess she's made it. I guess so. Unless this is just a video that somebody did and she uploaded. I don't know. Because I don't see her in the video. It's just a video that has music and stuff behind it. Gosh, the memorial's huge. It is just the saddest. It's the saddest thing. It's still making me crazy. She's already there. She drove from Florida to Arizona. Yeah, she did. She did. Me too. Great live up until now. LOL. I know. Oh, Lynette, I'll check, honey. I don't know. Let me look. She was driving the highway being loud. She's always loud. It's what she does. It's her life, you know. She's Bullhorn Betty. That's who she is. She's so crazy. What is this? Help requested. No, I'm not. No. I'm not doing work at 10 o'clock at night. I don't know why you're sending me that. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. Okay. How are you doing? I got you. It was my sister's birthday yesterday, sweetie. Okay. Oh my goodness. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, we'll definitely talk, Lynette, for sure. She wants filming privileges. Well, you know, she's media. I think it is. I think it's open for the most part. No, she does not have morals like Charlie. Girl, if you don't stop. Girl, if you don't stop that, you know you lie. For sure. But people closest to me, you know, online, I mean, my online people, they're probably more liberal and more not Christian. And it is what it is, you know. Good, no bags and strollers. I'm always working too, Gavel. I just, it's been so crazy busy. And I'm just like, no, I'm stopping. I stopped and I said, I'm doing it. I don't care. I don't care. Same. And the fact that people are using this to argue or tear down other people, I almost, all right, I'm not going to lie. I almost used his live streams to debunk and drag another person. It's what I wanted to do. That's what my mind said to do. And then I said, okay, how the hell would you be any different than the person who's doing it to somebody else over their views? You wouldn't be. But everything in me wanted to fucking do it. Everything. But I didn't. I was just like, you know what? It's not the right thing to do. It's not the right thing. I mean, I may just go out, I may talk my shit without using Charlie's words. Maybe. I don't know. Love is love. It is. And, you don't have to like Charlie or even believe in Jesus. However, I'm not going to hide that I do. And I think that's a hard thing, or was, for some people. It just is. It was hard. And it's not going to be anymore. And that's it. You made it to where it can't be disputed. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Tried to be fair without being an asshole, because I could have. So I just tried to use his words and talk about them my own way, and that's it. There's a lot, Gavel. So much. From exploiting for clicks and views, to exploiting to attack somebody else, to exploiting for their own agendas, to exploiting to be, the person who gets to sit in Charlie's chair, to the little creators on him that are just, it's absolutely psychotic from what I'm seeing. I watched him daily and felt so much grief. I enjoyed watching him as well. Helen, I really did. I really, really did. They slammed that line down for me, to be honest with you. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people are showing us exactly who they are. And I'm okay with that. I may not like it. It may hurt my feelings to really know. Sometimes you just think you know, and then you really realize that you do know, and it sucks. It's not a good feeling at all. She is now the CEO of Turning Point. Yep. She is. Which is wonderful. I mean, that's what he wanted. They said in the release that is what he wanted in the case of his death, which I'm sure he didn't think was coming. I'm never, ever, ever going to get past the words that Erica said. Where's Daddy? He's on a business trip with Jesus, honey, so he can afford your blueberry budget. I was done when I heard that. Just finished. Over. Done. Lay on the ground. Call me. Finished, because I can't do it. Yeah. Gavel. Yep. For sure. It's just... Hello there. I'm just about to end, but... Hello. Feel free to rewind. When I finish the whole video, I will upload it on its own. So... Yeah, I understand that, Hakab. I know. You can tell she loves them so much. And you could tell, they did like what's your words of wisdom for the day? And she would like follow him around and record him. He would be working and she's like, what's your words of wisdom today? He's like, don't lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. Like I don't know. It just, Andy, I cannot. I'll never get past that. Those words and knowing those kids are looking for their dad. They're looking for their dad. And they're not going to find him. It's not like he's coming home next week from a trip. He's not in the other room. It's absolutely crazy to me. Oh, it's absolutely crazy to me. So, yeah, my heart is broken. But you can see the strength in that woman. And you can tell she has a really strong support system. So that's a good thing, too. All right, off I go, people. I swore to myself I would be on 1 hour, and it's 2 hours. I suck. She is filled with the fire. She is not going. Thank God, though. I'm glad Turning Point's staying the way that it is. They're still doing the tour this year. They're still going to do the conference. They're doing everything, and I love that. A lot of people would have broken under that and just said, I can't do this. I can't do it. But she's doing it. So I love it. Absolutely. Thank you guys for coming in. I know it's a weird topic and it wasn't a drama stream. So, people don't like that when it's not a drama stream. So I get it. The tears just come. I know. I'll think about it later tonight and a few tears will try and sneak out of my eyes and I'll beat the shit out of them and make them go back in. All right, y'all. See you later.